Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 399 at scavengerlife.com. Hi, Jay.
So we had a slow week, and we're gonna talk more about that. But I think it's a good example of how, at least for us, our experience over a long time has been it's always up and down. And this is one of those weeks where I can understand why someone has those conspiracy theories about eBay. Someone at eBay shut off our store. They need to turn it back on.
It feels like that.
Quit killing us.
Right.
Anyway, what I first just wanted to talk about was, we started this podcast 2013.
Yeah.
And when we first started doing this, there were some things online about how to sell, but we were kind of at the cusp of when now there's thousands of people like on YouTube and blogs, and they'll sell you courses and they'll tell you how to sell.
Right.
They're everywhere. But when we first started, there weren't a whole lot of us out there, and people would ask us, how do you do this? So I remember we wrote a manifesto.
Yes.
And we'll link to it, or it's on our website, scavengerlife.com/manifesto.
Easy enough.
We recently have been getting people who have been coming on who are just starting to sell on eBay. And they've even asked us, do the same policies or the same ways work now as did when we did this in 2013. And so I thought we would just go over our manifesto and just see.
Point by point.
I have not touched this since
It's the same language from day one, I'm pretty sure.
I think I wrote this in an afternoon. This was just what we were about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say we get a lot of questions on how to run a successful eBay store. Below are the simple steps we've used. This is not passive income. We've always been like that from day one. This is not passive. You know, not quick money. It takes hard work, which many people don't want to hear. That's
still true.
That's the truth. People are like, "Hey, I just quit. It's my job. I need to make $10,000 right now." I'm like, that's not going to happen. Lots of eBay professionals is want to sell you ebooks, videos, binders, DVDs, coaching to teach you. There are no secrets or shortcuts to making money on eBay. That's true.
That's still true.
I think what a lot of people will sell you, or those things, they're all just kind of common sense of how to sell on eBay. It's not a secret that they're trying to sell you. It says you're running a store, so you just have to put the work in. That's it. The learning guides you can buy might get you up to speed faster, but we didn't need those. And it's true.
Yeah. Well, I think the basis of our manifesto is it's not passive, meaning you have to put the work in. You have to list.
Right. And I guess if you didn't know anything about anything, then if you were to buy some guide that told you those steps, again, it would get you up to speed faster, but it doesn't solve any problem.
You still have to do the work.
Doing it.
Yeah, they're not giving you some secret.
And I think for us, we learned it was important for us to learn on our own, because then we were solving our own problems.
Right. Right.
But anyway, so I say work on becoming a good scavenger. That's the key.
Of course.
That means learning to find treasures in the trash, finding the items in your area that other people ignore. We say that to this day.
That's what we did from the first day.
It's about getting outside of the Goodwill and Salvation Army shopping. I know that's controversial. Mm-hmm. Some people do very well just shopping at Goodwill, but it's for us. We learned. We made more money. It's learning about art and fashion and everything else that makes items valuable to collectors.
Yes.
And that's true.
Right. Ceramics and glass.
Yeah.
You think I want to learn about that stuff? No. Did I? Yes.
We've talked about it many times when we would go to flea markets back in the early days. We could just run through a huge football field flea market and be like, I didn't see anything. Because we were only selling clothing and shoes, and we passed over so much stuff. But when we started to learn about art and collectibles.
One time you bought at the flea market, it was an Abercrombie and Fitch polo mallet, horse polo. The thing was super low. It was taller than me. You bought it for $1, and I was like, "What I think we sold it the next week for $100.
Right, and it was
like vintage Abercrombie,
whatever, from the 50s, or I don't know how.
Yeah, like 30s to 50s, and that's when we knew. We were like, oh, we've missed so much stuff at the flea market.
And then I say, and most importantly, and remember that transparency is the key to a good culture. Be open, share your process, ideas, tips, and tricks. Choose camaraderie over competition.
Now, the reason you said that is because, especially in the beginning, a lot of people were like, number one, why are you doing this podcast? Yeah. Why are you giving people your numbers? You're literally telling people what you buy and where you buy.
Right. We in the early days, I guess, when it wasn't common to talk about how to sell on eBay, that detail, we would get a lot of angry, I guess, old timers who were like, don't tell people about this.
Yeah, why were you doing that? But the thing is, we all live in different places, so it's not like I'm telling all the other resellers in my area what I'm doing.
Look, and Mikey, who helped us start this podcast back in the early days, he had to convince me, at least, to do a podcast because I was that way. I was like,
why would I tell people my secrets?
Why would I tell people what we're doing? But he convinced me, like, there's so much excess. There is abundance, Right. There is not scarcity. There's abundance.
Yeah, and we saw that when we would visit them, too, and we would all go shopping together.
Right.
And I would find stuff that they weren't looking for, and in the same store.
And so we were selling for 5 years without doing the podcast. And
that's true.
I remember you talking about that, it being a little bit lonely, like wanting to talk about this stuff. We would try to talk about it with people that we knew, and they could not care less. And so we found it's great. We found this whole community of people. It's like...
Yeah, it's really nice. I think we had started a really small email list with like 5 people that we knew from across the country that sold on eBay. And just some of them were not full-time and some of them kind of dropped out. And we were like, let's find these people who really want to talk about like real scavenging, not buying a book or a DVD or a course. Like, I don't want to be a marketer. I want to just like talk about our experience.
Right. Because honestly, that's also, it's just another job. It's like...
Yeah, I'm just like...
I remember I used to get people... back in the early days who would say, can I pay you to mentor me? Or can I pay you to do Skype calls so you teach me how to do this? Or can I come and visit you, me and my friends, and you do like a
little workshop? Yeah.
And we thought about it. I'm just like, but that's just work. I mean, that's like...
It's another job.
That's a job,
But also what we did say eventually was like, just listen to the podcast. We talk about it every week. We talk about all the things we do and get on now the forum, but it was the comments before.
Well, so to carry on here, we're almost done. So it says, here are the main points. The rest of the details we talked about for free in our podcast. Send us a note if you're confused about anything. Better yet, join the conversations with other smart scavengers in the comments. This is when we only had a blog.
Comments, yeah.
And that had been a big thing for us when we started doing a forum where we could learn from other people too.
Yep.
I remember we would get the emails, but I would answer them. We would get emails to us personally, and they would be like, "How do I do this? How do I do that?"
Answer all
and
of them.
I would answer every single one, and then I started noticing I'm answering the same thing again. And then we thought, well, let's start a forum, and just so to this day now, when people ask us something, I'll sometimes give a quick answer, but I'll say, "Here's our forum. Join up." Because there are so many other smart people in that forum, and I've said it before, we learn from a lot of people on how to do things better. Okay, here are the steps according to our Manifesto 2013.
Okay, this is the important part.
Okay, open a store on eBay.
Right, a store, not just like put items on eBay.
Right. Because then if you list, those are as low as 10 cents a month, depending on your volume and subscription. So and this was important because if you're going to sell on eBay as like a business, it's good to get the store subscription because then you pay not as much per
listing. Yeah. If you get up to your like,
because I think if you don't have a store, I forgot, it's like 50 cents or 25 cents.
Yeah, nowadays I don't even know, but
and we would always be like struggling with people that are like, how do I get more free listings?
Because I don't want to list until I have free
Because
listings.
they would like wait until they get their a monthly allotment, and they were really a random, and they'd be like, I haven't gotten any free ones in 6 weeks, so I got a backlog, and we're just like, just get a subscription and list. Like the listing fees are so cheap,
right?
Like people wanting to save pennies,
right,
to lose out on dollars.
Yeah.
Put that on my book right there.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Okay, number 2. List 500 things as fast as you can.
Now, do you think that number is still true? 500?
Well, let me finish here. I'm not sure. So if you list 20 things a day, then it'll take you about a month.
Okay.
I mean, that's like pure math there, right? 20 things.
Yeah,
so no break, but it's possible. Yeah. So a seller with new eBay account will have selling at limits for the first 90 days to build a good reputation. So if you're brand new straight out the gate, eBay won't allow people to do 500 things right away.
You're going to have barriers. But you can call eBay and talk to them.
But the goal in that one is just list. Like, if you list 10 things, and then if you sit and you cry and like, I only sold one thing, it's like...
Or I didn't sell anything.
You didn't list enough.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have faith in this process.
Right.
And you got to go for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we did not see, like, a volume of sales until we hit about 500 items.
And kept listing.
And honestly, because we were doing this pretty much full time.
Yeah.
We got up to 500 pretty quickly.
I mean, I think I said it last week. I remember our house was under construction. I had a fold out table with my computer, and I was just like, this is happening because this is how we're paying for our house to be renovated.
And we've always said that too. Like, if this is really like your full-time job, you have to treat it like one. So that's 8 hours a day.
Right.
It's 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know.
You're putting those hours in.
It's not that hard to get up to 500.
And that's in the beginning. Like, I don't do that now.
Right.
I'm not
we don't
like...
have to.
Right, we don't have to. And we have diversified income streams also. But in the beginning, it was like, you know, nose to the grindstone, head down.
Let's go over and take photos.
Just like, we were living off of like sandwiches and cereal because we didn't have a kitchen. So it was like, no, I'll eat some food and I'm listing.
It was just our job. And, you know, and we've talked about it before when things seem scary or it is going to work. We just would list more instead of being worried about things.
Right.
Channel that energy into a productive process. So I think you asked a good thing, and this is what everybody asks. Is 500 enough to make a living?
No.
And well, I'll do some caveats there.
Okay.
So we see people come on our forum now. They join up and they share their numbers. I see people with 500 and less.
And they make as much as
who are making as much as we do per week. They'll make $1,200 in a week. Then I see people that have like 1,200 items, 2,400 items, and they're making like $300 in a week.
Right.
So I think the caveat is it depends on what kind of items you actually list.
Like what are you specializing in? What's your average price per item?
I mean, that's also just kind of the artistry of this, for lack of a better word. You know, it's just like when you go out and scavenge, if your eye is just not very good and you're just buying like cheap clothes and
low dollar items
and you're selling stuff for $3, I mean, with free shipping I
mean, I even see sellers who have high quality things that are selling them for not enough. You know, it's worth more. It's worth $30, $50, $80 and they're selling it for like $12.
Right.
And then I'm buying it from them. You know what I mean? So
but to be fair, I would think my gut would be like 500. You could do it for $500, but you really have to be on point.
500 items.
Yeah, 500 items.
Yeah.
But you really have to be on point and like being like the top-notch scavenger. But if you're new to this and you're still experimenting and you're going to make mistakes on what to buy, I would think you would need 1,000 items.
Right. Now 500 is a good starting point for someone who either still has a job, has another gig, has another income source, and wants to like on-ramp to being full-time.
Right.
Like bulk up your store. That's what we're trying to say. Bulk up your store. and then keep going. Like, it just can't be.
I can psychically hear someone screaming at me, and this is what they're telling me. 500 items, but what do you mean 500 items? How much are you going to make a month? Right. So when we were doing 500 items and that felt good to us, we were making $2,000 a month. Because that's what we needed to make to pay our bills. Because we didn't have a mortgage, we didn't have a lot of bills, car payments.
It's about $500 a week.
Yeah. So if you want to make more than that, then you would definitely need to list more. More. So if you are trying to make, $4,000 a month, you need to at least double that.
Right.
But I am always impressed right now, if you go on our forum from like a week ago, where people put our numbers, there are a considerable number of people that are making $1,000 a week.
Oh, totally.
People with like 800 items in their store.
Yep.
People with 1,200 items in their store.
Yeah, I'll skim people's numbers and I'll just be like jealous. Like
wait till we talk about our numbers for. It's this week. We have 8,200 items in our store.
Yeah.
Trust me, there are going to be people that post numbers who have a fourth of our store who make as much as we do or more. Again, I think the only reason why we picked 500 is I think people needed that kind of concrete goal.
Yeah.
And then it gets hazy after that. All right. Number 3, auctions are for suckers. Sell an item, buy it now. Bonus if you add its make offer on items over $30. You list them good till canceled, so the listing doesn't expire till it sells. List it and forget it. Everything eventually sells. We live by that. That has not changed for us.
Yep.
And that was I probably spent hours debating with people about selling auctions on eBay.
And when we first started, I don't know if we knew about Buy It Now, but we started auctions at $9.99. Yeah. Everything was $9.99.
Yeah. And that was back in 2008. I mean, nowadays it's fully like documented that 80% of items on eBay are Buy It Now. Yeah. Auctions, people can debate forever.
Yeah.
They do work sometimes, but you have to really know what you have. It has to be a really like sought after item where a bidding war is going to start. But the whole point for us was we don't want to spend our time during the day restarting items, listing, having things expire and like keep up with all that because we were building such a large inventory. I hear those nightmares of people saying, I have 400 items that
are not even listed anymore.
I didn't even know that because they fell through the cracks, So it's worked for us. If auctions work for someone else, cool. But we've found that just list it and forget it works.
It works for us.
Yeah.
It's worked for us since the beginning.
Okay, number 4. The key to success is bulk listing.
Yes.
Maintaining a large inventory and the ability to store all your items in an organized way.
We should take our own advice for storing things in an organized way. We're organized. We're actually much organized now than we were.
I think, to our credit, we've always been organized. Not in a way where it'd be easy to teach for someone else.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, the number of items we have lost or haven't been able to find, I could maybe not even, I couldn't.
Maybe not even 2 hands.
Right.
Yeah.
6 items.
Yeah.
We always find it. So sometimes it takes us a little bit longer than it should, but we're pretty organized.
But it's there. I'm like, I know this is here.
But the point is, in this, is just like, it's listing. If you aren't a listing, you're not really running a business.
Yeah.
And that point was specifically for the people that were really good at buying.
Yes.
And didn't list.
Yep. And that was...
A lot of good people. A lot of good people who are good at buying.
Buying's the fun part. Yeah. You're like, cool, look at all this cool stuff that could maybe sell for some money.
Right. But that's not what a store is about. Okay. And 5, and this is the final point. Once you have a large inventory, you can finally breathe, make a bunch of money, and then just casually list as you scavenge for more treasures. And I just added that in just to say it does stop at some point,
It's not a sweat. You're not building a sweatshop for yourself.
Right.
That's not what you're doing. You're not, 40 hours a week, breakneck.
Forever.
It must be 20 a day. Forever. You're like, we've gone 6 weeks without listing.
Right.
With extended 30-day handling time, and we've been fine.
And our sales have been consistent because we front load our inventory.
Right.
And people have talked about it. It's kind of like having a, like a 401k plan or something. It's like you put all that money into it and then it pays off at the end versus people who do who play the stock market day by day, scraping out a bunch of money. So
right.
it's just a different way to do it.
And we just thought when we started the podcast, we were just hearing such different information. And we were like, well, this manifesto is what has worked for us. And then, we'd known Mikey and Wendy for several years until they started selling more seriously on eBay. They had sold their own stuff, sold some electronics and stuff like that, but had seriously gone sourcing for stuff. And we were trading information like, well, we do buy it now. We do this, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, it's working for us. And that's when we started having conversations like, okay, it worked for someone else. So it's not just us using this technique.
Right. And this isn't, again, the only way.
Right.
So we did this to plant a flag. This is what works for us.
Right.
So this is one way to do it. I would love other people to put out their own manifestos. I'm sure people that sell on Amazon or sell commodity items, they would have different,
very different.
But I can say we can back up with our numbers that this has worked for us consistently since we wrote this in 2013.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much on point still.
Yeah.
It's funny to read this. I'm like, yep, we still do that. Yep, we look for things that people don't want, that are being overlooked.
Yep. A list it, forget it.
List it, forget it. Keep listing. Yep. Keep filling your store. We have 8,200 items, and I'm still have 50 things to list this week. Plus.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about our week on eBay. What is your gut reaction?
Well, so we were tracking our numbers very closely yesterday, so I know how much we made because we were looking at it. It's like $1,100.
Yep.
$1,100, and before the end of yesterday, it was like $800.
Yeah. So so this week we had one day where nothing sold.
8,200 items.
That happens to us maybe 4 or 5 times a year where we don't sell anything. And normally I expect that more like in the summertime. So that was a big deal. Yeah. We had a handful of days where we sold one item. So we were talking about our numbers yesterday because when we it woke up on Saturday, we had made $600.
Oh, it was 600?
So yesterday we sold a third of our items that we'd sold all week in one day. So Saturday yesterday was a good day.
Right.
And for us, 1,000 is our benchmark.
Right.
Because that's the minimum we need to make a week to pay our bills, our mortgages and stuff like that.
Right. We have several mortgages. Yeah. It's not just
on business properties.
Right. Yeah. Businesses. So we try to get our eBay store to pay for that.
Yeah. So we just pulled it out.
Yeah.
We made $1,107.88.
2 people haven't paid. So it's one of those things where you're like, come on, people, seriously.
Yeah. We sold 31 items, so we sold half as many as a week ago.
31.
And it's strange, we've gone 6 weeks gangbusters. It's been great.
Oh, yeah.
And then suddenly it just kind of hit
Literally, well, okay, so I have a theory. This week was the middle of the week.
It's a hypothesis.
I'm sorry. This is my untested hypothesis, which is not a theory. It was Valentine's Day this week, right in the middle of the week. I think it was Thursday. So I don't know if it's people were buying Valentine's presents, not our stuff, clearly, but flowers, chocolates, going out to dinner, and so they weren't shopping online.
Right. I have a hypothesis.
That's my hypothesis.
I've been reading those articles how with the new tax law, people aren't getting as much money back in taxes as they thought they were. in refunds because of the government wasn't taking out as much money, and so people were going along expecting that every a year I'd get back $1,200.
Right.
There were articles saying that some people were getting half that. Some people
were owing money.
had to owe a little bit more because they hadn't adjusted their.
So it was what changed was the government didn't withhold as much. So people's paychecks were bigger during the year, but then at the end of the year, like you're saying, because at first I was like, I'm so confused.
I mean, a lot of people use their tax refund as like a savings account.
It's like a savings, yeah.
So every year they know they're going to get a couple $1,000 and they can either splurge or pay
save it or
something
whatever. Yeah.
So that's my...
that's a good point.
My hypothesis.
Yeah, I had heard a lot about that, and I read more into it because I was like, I don't understand this. Of course, we don't have paychecks, so we don't see that end. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't see that end of like I don't think we've had a tax refund. I think we had one year. It was last year or the year before because we had paid quarterly like good citizens.
Yep.
And before that, I'm like, I don't really ever remember getting a tax refund because we're independent, so it's different. But yeah, so that's interesting that you said that. That could be true.
Yeah. But, then yesterday happens and we sold 10 items in one day.
Right.
And it felt like it was back.
Yeah, I was like, some of them were quite high dollar. So it was like, great.
So, I don't know. It's, I think for me, I just have to remember that there are days when nobody wants our stuff.
Nothing.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so things we sold. So we sold this, it's a fabric swatch book.
Oh my God.
We sold this thing for $3.49. Let me tell you the story of this real quick. Okay, this is what happens when you have a long tail listed and forget it, get it store. This has been in our inventory for 6 years. I think we might have even had this back in 2013 when we wrote the Manifesto.
Like this
it was
is an
like
original
piece
item.
of junk that came in.
It came in a box lot.
I don't even know why we listed it. It's one of Ryan's experiments. Like
clearly it paid off.
like it's just like a swatch book
of high end upholstery fabric.
Right. So some things we buy for $1 and sell for $30. Some things we buy for $10 and sell for $100. A lot of things we buy for $1 and sell for $15. But this is, it's one of those edge cases. It sold for $3.49.
Now it was priced higher in the beginning,
right?
But we definitely changed the price.
Yeah. Sometimes we say a listed and forget it mainly. Every so often we'll go through our store and we'll be like, I just want this gone.
Whatever this thing is.
I don't want to take it out of the store. I just want to sell it.
I want to sell it.
So I think that $3.49, that probably just barely paid for the fees. Listing fees. But you know what? It felt good to sell it.
Look, this thing is so funny when it's sold because it's at the bottom of this one bin of like bulky miscellaneous. That's literally what the bin is called. And every once in a while, I'll sell something in that bin, and I'll see this swatch book, and I'm like, I just got to get rid of this thing. But I didn't because I never get rid of anything. I literally never get rid of anything unless it's broken.
Right. But it's a good example of everything sells. She even gave us good feedback.
She gave us great feedback. Yep. She's like, I love this is great.
We just had to wait for the right person.
I'm assuming she's using it for some scrapbooking project or something like that. But
I mean, so not everything sells for a lot, but we did. Okay, here's a good example of it working for us.
Right.
We bought a lot of silverware.
Yes.
We broke it up into pieces.
Right. By type. Right. Fork, spoon, knife, etc.
So yesterday, I don't know if some of our forks or whatever was put on a form or something, because we sold 2 sets of forks, 12 forks.
Right.
We sold them for $150.
Right. So 2 different buyers in 2 different parts of the country.
Yeah.
One gave me an offer of $70. One paid outright $80.
Right.
For the set of like 6 forks.
Awesome. And
the week before, a couple of weeks ago, I sold that same brand of, I think it was spoons.
Yeah.
So somebody's linking to this brand.
It's like a Finnish
yeah, brand. It's Scandinavian. It's
so it always helps in our minds to, if you get like 100 piece
Break it up.
Break it up into all the knives, all the forks.
Dessert
forks.
I break stuff up in the most
a logical way
that I can.
Right. And I think
you make more money.
Yeah, it takes longer, obviously.
It takes longer, but I think you always make more money.
We sold a men's blazer for $200, which is rare for us. We stopped selling.
That's a women's blazer.
Oh, it's a women's blazer.
Yeah, it's a Brooks Brothers, but it's women's.
My bad.
Yeah, $200. That was a rare.
We don't sell blazers
almost ever anymore.
At all. But
although I did sell a blazer last night. Another women's blazer.
For like
$30.
Yeah.
No, it was $30.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
But this blazer specifically was an experiment we did when we were in Manhattan a couple of years ago. We were in the Salvation Army.
At Christmas.
And found like a rack of like high-end Gucci.
Gorgeous, like wool, like what do they call it? Like Super 200, where it's like this soft, thin wool.
So we went
Italian.
All in the way people talk about, where we were spending $10 and $15 on these really expensive jackets. Yeah. And then we listed them high. They've been very slow to sell.
This jacket had a flaw in the front too, but it was a Loro Piano Italian fabric, which go backwards in time. One of our highest selling items was $1,800, and it was Loro Piano. It wasn't wool, but it was cotton.
It was just like
it was literally corduroy.
A roll of fabric,
whatever you call it.
But there's a guy on our forum. I think it's a guy. His handle is the Seam Store.
I think it's a guy. Yeah,
and he just recently came on our forum. A couple of weeks or whatever. Great info from this guy. Yep. His numbers are incredible.
Incredible numbers.
And he focuses on mainly men's wear. Mm-hmm. Blazers.
Yep.
He sells ties like there's no tomorrow.
I can't believe
He said he sold like $14,000 worth of ties in 3 months. I'm like, that's crazy. He will post numbers where he's grossing like $7,000 in 1 week. I'm like, from men. So we have never been able to like get into like fancy men's clothes. I just don't think our knowledge. Number one, it's not interesting.
It's not interesting to us.
But also, I think it's a specific knowledge of his pictures are incredible.
Well, his pictures are super professional. I mean, God, at this point, I'm like, are our photos even professional?
No.
Not really. You know what? But we sell stuff.
Not like his stuff.
Yeah.
But he just seems to really know. So, again, I think that's a good example of you can make money anywhere, and you can make a lot.
Yeah.
If you really get to know that thing, and he's able to put it in the right context, and he probably knows all the right keywords.
Yep.
I just don't know that world, because I don't know anyone that wears a tie to work anymore.
Right. Like if we were in the city, especially like DC, that is a tie wearing world. Yeah. But we're just not there. And so we also don't have access to that stuff unless we're in New York. I mean, like you said, that was the time where we were like Gucci, Armani, like we were just like grabbing.
To me, that
stuff.
experiment taught us was just because something has some fancy
doesn't
label doesn't really mean it's going to sell for a lot right away.
Right.
Just because I just don't know if I have a knowledge to put it in the right context and take the right pictures, I would attract those kind of people.
Well, so we do find that stuff. Like we said, we found that Brooks Brothers, which it was a women's blazer, Loro Piano, or Piana. And it sold. It sold for $200.
Right.
But that's so rare.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
I'm already bored by this subject. Blazers. Blazers.
Okay, scavenge of the week. We didn't really do any scavenging.
Yes, we did. We went to a couple thrift stores.
Yeah.
But it was slim pickings. I think the best thing I found was like a pair of women's Laredo cowboy boots, like colorful.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't feel like we did.
Like, that's
I mean, I think we might have gotten 15 things or something in 2 places. However, this Friday, I hope it happens. I'm so pumped. I want to go to this auction on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped about it. It's been so long since we've been, and I feel
to
like
this certain auction. Yeah.
And I feel like every time we plan to go to an auction, something comes up, and we end up not.
We just need to plan and be like, "This is happening.
It's gonna happen."
Yeah. What time does the auction start in the morning?
400, 200.
Last time we went to this particular auction, I bought a lot of stuff. Yeah. I think you were surprised.
I was so proud of you.
You were like, and you know what? A lot of it was ceramics.
This is one of those auctions where it's in this gigantic
warehouse barn thing.
It's like the size of a football field.
Yeah, it's massive.
It feels like, where they'll have 3 auctions going at once.
Yes. So we split up.
Each of us pick where our favorite thing is.
Yeah.
And then I always have to stick my head out the other, and I was to encourage you. I'm like, Ryan, go.
The good thing about this auction is it's not a super high-end auction, so I feel like a lot of people that are there's some resellers, but there's definitely like retired people who are there just to have fun on a Friday and get a snack.
It's like the kind of auction I love. Family run.
Yeah.
They have a snack bar.
Yeah.
It's all regulars.
Right.
Everyone knows each other.
It's not an online auction. Like, it's an actual auction.
And it's like you said, it's strange that there'll be like 50 people around the
no
guy,
one's bidding on
and
anything.
There's only 3 people bidding. Where it really is, I think, for a lot of people, it's
for fun.
They're just there to see what's for sale,
and they want stuff for their house, and they want stuff for their guest room,
and
I'm like, cool, I'm outbidding you all day long.
And they wait till there's something that nobody wants, and then the auctioneer says, "Who wants it for $1?" And the first person that raises their hand gets it for $1.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's definitely stuff in the big box lots that I'm like, oh my god, it's garbage, but. Yeah, let's just make sure we go because
I'm so excited. Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Okay. So, yes.
I'm so excited.
I know there's a snack bar, but I need to bring special snacks. I have to remember.
Okay. Okay, customer issues. We are getting 1 return back, and this is so it's one of those coffee parts. When we parted out the coffee maker, it's an interior part, and the guy said he got it. He said, "This doesn't fit mine. It's not as described," so he's sending it back. And
buyer's remorse. Right. Because look, I know exactly what model it is because I parted it out because I owned it, and so I know it fits.
Right. And I think,
and I know it works.
And I think that's a problem with selling any kind of electronics or whatever, is that people don't know what they have, and so they order the wrong one, and then they blame you. So we'll get that.
The thing about free returns, number one, I paid for the return shipping label, but since I have free returns, I can dispute his reason because I know it works and I know it fits this model, so I don't have to refund him his original shipping.
So if you don't have free returns on it, what happens? You can't dispute it.
I think I can still dispute it, but if they open a case, it goes against me.
Gotcha.
So
this
very confusing.
I'm just going to say this one quick little brief PSA.
Yeah.
Public service announcement. We get emails every week. Lately, I've been getting a couple of them where people are complaining to me about eBay.
Yes.
And I get it. You know, people are trying to find someone to hear them out, and I get that. And this is going to be called the myth of no returns, okay?
Yes.
There's a certain kind of person who sells on eBay, and I'm imagining it's someone that I used to sell on eBay back in the old days when it was the Wild West.
You didn't have to accept any returns.
When it was more like Craigslist, where it was like eBay did not make the seller responsible for anything. Once it got purchased, buyer beware.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
Those days are over. You know, eBay does have a choice where you can say this item has no returns, but it's not really no returns. You must accept a return if the buyer says item not as described, INAD.
Or damaged.
Right. This is not Craigslist. And that's to protect all of us, people who buy.
I've had that situation. I've received a damaged item, been like, this is completely broken, and they say, sorry, I don't accept returns. I'm like, hey, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Because it's broke.
And also, things have changed so much.
Yeah.
Amazon has really set the standard where if someone buys something on Amazon, they know they can always return it. And so people keep buying like crazy. Yep. eBay has to keep up.
They have to.
You know?
Yep, absolutely.
So this idea that and you can put no returns on something and then just a walk away.
Nope.
Is a myth.
Yep.
And you will only make yourself sad if you believe in that myth.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if the buyer gets your item,
right,
says, I don't think this is what I had bought, or I'm unhappy because of that, they can force a return.
Yep.
eBay allows you to accept it and become part of its process. But what happens is a lot of guys or gals, they ignore it. They're like, I said no returns. I'm just going to ignore this. I bet eBay probably sends 3 or 4 notices.
Yes.
So it's not like it gets hidden away.
Yep.
And then you ignore.
5 business days, I think you have to.
Then what eBay does is they come in and they're like, well, the seller's not participating.
Full refund.
The buyer gets to keep the item, and you get a defect. And it's not any kind of a defect. It's a serious one.
Yeah.
It's a case closed without seller
Yeah.
If you get even several of those, your account can
get shut down.
Right. I mean, that's how people get suspended.
We've heard, oh, my account got suspended, blah, blah, blah. And then we dig deeper and we're like, oh, you ignored like 5 returns.
So I get it.
I get it too.
That people, there are people who either are purposely abusing it and claiming item not as described when it was not, or they're not understanding it and they're just choosing that because it's the only way they can return something they don't want. Right. But the thing is, we just accept it.
You have to.
We get the item back that we can resell, and we dispute the reason so we don't have to pay to ship it.
We dispute the reason if it's disputable.
And then we sell the item again and everything's fine.
Right.
So it's a pain in the butt.
It stinks.
We lose time.
Yeah.
But just... you are going to drive yourself crazy talking about suing eBay. And it's just, this is just how it is. I think eBay should not even have no returns.
I don't know why they still do, honestly, at this point.
Because it's not true.
Yeah, I'm just like,
and maybe that's what's confusing people.
I think it's gonna start.
Yeah.
Where look, I had to take a return on a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
I had to take it.
Right.
They made me take it.
The guy came to pick it up, a local pickup.
I have no returns on local pickup.
He put it in his truck.
Right.
And then he said, I am not as described.
And he drove away and drove home 3.5 hours.
But you know what? He drove it back.
He drove it back. He dropped it off. It was actually in fine condition. He didn't,
We're going to sell it again. So anyway.
Yeah.
Things we learned in the forum. We had a good week on the forum. Winchester 38. He has officially
given his 2 weeks notice.
Yep. He talked about that. Yep. And also, what is his name? I always forget people's handles. There's another guy that also just gave his a notice too. He works for a college, and he in close
to here, West Virginia.
Yep.
Doubly thumbs.
Yep, doubly thumbs. So we have 2 kind of longtime scavengers in our
We don't
forum.
know people's real names.
They pulled they're leaving their jobs, and both of them have really...
They've ramped it up enough.
They've really shared their story about how they've been preparing. And it's funny, I asked Winchester 38, I was like, so what was it like to actually say, I'm out?
Give your 2 weeks notice.
And he was super anti-climactic.
Nobody cared.
People were like, okay, good luck.
Good luck on your future endeavors. He's like, that's it. I worked here 8 years.
It was the last job I had. I worked for 6 years.
And you put a lot into, you worked at a TV station.
I loved it. I mean,
you put a lot into that TV station. I put my life into it.
And, look, it's dumb to think, it's egotistical, I guess, to think people are going to do big fanfares. But it is really kind of sad. It just reminds you, we're all kind of expendable at most of these jobs. And that's fine.
Well, I also think in a lot of jobs, management or whoever's in charge, they expect a certain amount of people to leave.
Right.
They're not like, oh, you're going to be here for 25 years.
But I mean... It's you just I guess the fantasy is they're like, no, don't leave.
No, we can't
double
do
your
well,
salary.
sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just find for us, it's so much more rewarding working on our own thing. So every day we work, we're building something for ourselves.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's so rewarding.
Congrats to both those guys.
I love hearing those stories. So I love when people share their stories.
Okay, so let's
take calls. Okay. Calls. Yep. You can email us a voicemail file, an audio file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486, and you have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hey guys, this is Nathan, or Millionaire Dojo on the forums. I was just listening to the podcast and wanted to make a couple of comments on some of the things that were talked about. As far as sending offers to buyers, there's a different page that I use for that. It's actually just my active listings page. ebay.com/sh/lst/active. It just updated maybe a week or two ago to they have like new categories for me to filter my listings by. There's a few options. You can filter by all categories, all formats, or all states, or that's the 3 options that I have as far as drop-down menus. So I click on all states, and then it has an option to only show with watchers. So I select that, click the search button, and it will show me all my listings that have watchers on them. And then under each title, there's a little button that says eligible for offers, or the button will say not eligible for offers. And I just click on eligible for offers, and it takes me to the send offer page. It's different. You see a lot more listings than just 5 on the page, so you're able to go through all of the eligible listings and send offers that way. And I'm hoping that eBay will not allow you to send more than one offer to a buyer if they haven't responded to that offer. I don't know if that's how it works or not, but hopefully eBay is smart enough to not spam the buyers. Thanks for the podcast, guys.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, about eBay is doing this functionality where it's letting people send an offer to people that are watching an item. So it's kind of a push technology rather than a pull technology. And so, yeah, there are different ways, it sounds like, where you can get at it that gives you more functionality. It seems like it hasn't really been baked into the normals, the hub.
Yeah.
But it's like he says, you're able to get into it in certain ways and filter things out and send them. I mean, again, I've probably sent maybe 20 offers, have not heard anything.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say, I sent 5 and 3 sold. So
yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting just to see. And again, I'll say it again, my concern has always been, it's just going to be real spammy, where just like people do it on a daily basis where they're like, I'm going to send 1,000 offers today.
Right.
And I'll do the same thing tomorrow.
It's like, how do you...
But eBay would really have to like filter that, where you could only send one offer to the same, a watcher, like once a month or something.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. I mean, how they'll do that. I'm sure that's why it's still kind of in beta, and they're probably testing out and figuring out, the way that it works the best. But I'm glad they're trying.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. This is Bill Williams. I've called in once before. I'm just calling back because I love the sound of my own voice. So, later. Just kidding. I really called because something my mailman told me yesterday when I was shoveling. I was outside shoveling, had my package on the front porch waiting. Apparently, the mailman doesn't have to pick up your mail. If you have outgoing mail, he doesn't have to pick it up unless he has a delivery. If there's something that needs to be delivered to your house, then he has to take your mail. But apparently, if they have no reason to stop at your house and you're a resident, they can just skip you, even if they see packages sitting on your porch and you got a little flag up. He called me over. He's like, hey, is that your outgoing package? I'm like, yeah. Because he pulled up next door at the lock and safe key place. And he's like, hey, would you mind grabbing that for me? It's been snowing a lot, too, so I hadn't shoveled the front sidewalk yet. I was like, sure, yeah, no problem. I went and grabbed it, brought it back to him, and he's all, yeah, well, just so you know, because this might get you one day, is when we don't have a reason to stop at your house, we don't have to. So, it's called a courtesy pickup. Whenever the mailman takes anything of your packages, it's called a courtesy pickup, and they're not required to do it, apparently. Anyways, I thought you might want to know that, so... if you're like me and you have days that you go without getting mail, you might want to get on some mailing lists if you don't get mail every day and you want to make sure the mailman shows up to pick up your packages. Anyways, scavengers, I just thought I'd mention that. Later.
Right. I never actually thought of that.
I mean, I think technically he's right. If you don't do anything, the post office can just skip you if they don't have anything to drop off or know they have anything to pick up.
Even if you put your flag up.
Officially, if you want a pickup for your eBay items, you have to go on the website and schedule a pickup. Right?
Right. I think if you don't have any mail coming to your house that day, but you schedule a pickup, I think they have to pick that up.
I mean, are we still scheduling
No,
pickups?
I don't, because they know that I have something every day, and I put my flag up.
Yeah, I mean, back in the early days, I
would schedule every day.
morning, and we'd say...
Back in the old days, we brought our stuff to the post office, and then they said, we can just pick it up at your house. You just have to schedule it every day. So I started scheduling it every day.
So is that like a USPS.com/pickup?
It's something like that, yeah.
And so then that sends them a message, and they must print that out, and then they give it to the carrier so they know.
Yeah.
And it gives you a text box. This is going to be on the porch, or there'll be 10 packages.
You can tell them front door, porch, side door, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, look, we hear stories about people that have postal people who don't seem cooperative, who see having to pick up packages as a pain in the butt. We've been very fortunate, I think, being in a rural area. They're psyched to pick up our packages.
Because they want packages going through that location so that location does not get shut down.
Because we have a lot of small rural places that are being either shut down or a service is really being squeezed. So they're happy. We don't have to tell them. They always check our porch. When we're out of town, they notice.
Yep.
So, that's the answer. They do have to stop if you do a delivery
schedule.
pickup. Yeah.
So maybe in your area, you need to make sure you schedule every day you have packages and see what happens. Yeah, I thought if you had the flag up that they had to come get stuff, but clearly that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, or it may be his postal person's just like
being a stickler.
The technicality of the law. I see it, but I wasn't told I have to, so it's not there to me.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, this is Mike from Fremont. I have a question for you as well as maybe some of the other listeners or people on the forum. I use promoted listings, and basically I do it a couple times a week. I start and stop a campaign, and then I'll apply like a 1% promoted listing rate across the board to my entire store. But lately what I've been doing is going in to edit listings after they've been promoted, or even listings that aren't promoted yet, or new listings. I don't know if you noticed at the bottom of the page, when you go to edit a listing, it will automatically check and apply a trending rate, which is usually really high, like 8 or 9%. If the item sells, then you get charged the eBay fee, the PayPal fee, as well as this promoted listing trending rate. And it's driving me crazy. And of course, I called eBay, and nobody really understands how to turn that off, or, what's going on. And, of course they're going to elevate it, but it goes into a black hole. So anyways, hope you guys, know something about it, or one of your listeners. And, thanks for your show. Love it. Listen every week, and hope you guys are doing well. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Bye.
So when I look at my listings, my helper makes a draft, then she takes photos and fills all the info, and then she schedules it. I never see it automatically checked at the bottom. I don't know why yours is getting automatically checked. I think that is super annoying. If you don't want to use it, I actually use promoted listings, so it doesn't bother me. But the trending rates are ridiculous. Sometimes I have to tamp them down because I'm like, I'm not going to do a 12% rate on this pair of shoes. That's crazy.
And it's funny. People are doing experiments where they just do the 1%, and they say that still is good enough just to get it in the queue. I don't really know how eBay does that. If the higher the percentage you're willing to pay, the more they show that item.
Right. So that's why people are like, I'm going to do the lowest percent and hope that it gets promoted anyway.
I mean, honestly, I'm definitely one of those people that agree, like, it's just like a brazen way for eBay to just make a little more money. Like, you're already paying fees, you're already doing and now they're like putting ads in the, promoted
just like,
in this search. It's just like,
like I agree, right? I mean, like, to pay, let's take for example 10 to 12% over your fees, you're like, really? Am I making any money?
10%, yeah.
But I don't know, it's like, it's hard not to do it because you're like, there are days where one thing sells and you're like, should I turn off all promoted? No, I don't know.
But it's one of those things where if we don't like it, go someplace else. So.
Or just turn off promoted,
Hi, Jay. Hi, Ryan. My name's Dave. I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan. I've called it before. I'm the guy who found the gold in the storage units. But I have it's just a question or an observation or I don't know what to call it. I purchased some power cords for my light fixtures, my photography light fixtures. I lost one of them, and they're like a computer cord with the kind of rectangle with the slanted sides, the certain one. And I went on eBay to buy a replacement, and I found them. They're used, of course, but they were $1.48 each with free shipping. And if you buy one, you get one free. So I got 2 of these power cords shipped to my door for $1.48, and I weighed them when they got here, and they're 11 ounces, first class. I have no idea how anyone would even with the deepest of shipping discounts, how anyone would even break even selling 2 power cords for $1.48 shipped free. And they're a big seller too. And I understand volume and all that and shipping discounts, but at $1.48 for 2 shipped from Illinois to Michigan for free, I don't get it. I guess that's my question, is how steep of discounts do large sellers get to make it profitable when a first class stamp is, what is it, 50 cents now, I think. I never pay attention. I buy forever stamps, but so you can't, to ship 11 ounces, and then your eBay fees and your PayPal fees and all that. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw it out there and see what you guys had, your thoughts on that, and see what you guys had to say about that and how anyone would make any money doing that. I understand volume, but I mean, you'd have to sell tons of them to even make anything. So anyways, love your show, guys. Thanks for doing it. I look forward to it every week. Bye.
Right. Like, so the minimum right now for 4 ounces, like within your own zone, because they changed first class to be zone based, whereas it used to be basically flat rate based on the weight. The minimum for 4 ounces is like $2.75 or something, $2.77. So you're like $1.48 for 2 shipped 11 ounces to the next state over. I mean, they lost money. Well, right. You're so like, they lost money.
So the only thing I can think of is that if you're a really big, a big store that sells, they do these sales where they just want good feedback. So they'll sell stuff either at a loss or a break even, just so they can get their numbers up to make sure they don't fall under, a certain bad percentage.
It must be something like that. Like, because how?
I'm not going to say this right. We listened to a podcast once where people were getting random Amazon packages of just like junk, of just stuff that they had never ordered. And what happened is that there were these Chinese companies that were trying to buff out their numbers for some reason, and they had just picked some random addresses and were just sending fake transactions there. So Amazon thought, I guess, that they
had volume or something. I
don't quite understand why it was happening, but that's a reason. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese, these sellers in China where you can buy batteries, like 4 for $1 shipped from China.
Free
I know.
Shipping.
I know they can ship really cheap, but how do you make any money at all? 1 penny?
I don't. I mean,
it's weird.
Yeah, I know. You're like, let me do the calculations here. Like, they made no money on this.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the only thing I can say is enjoy it. Like, if someone's willing to take a loss, just grab it and go.
I don't know. Well, look, it's like I bought. Did I mention this last week? I bought a set of 7 drinking glasses, and it was $7 free shipping. From Massachusetts. There's no way. I mean, she shipped it with like a couple other items, so it was like a bulk thing. But if I had just bought that, I'm like, oh, trust me, it's more than $7 to ship those glasses. Yeah. Like, you're going to actually lose money on this.
That's a good example. We talk about people that sell on eBay and don't really understand how a shipping works. So they're not incorporating that into it.
But, yeah, I hear you. It's like, how is that transaction possible for the seller? Okay, that is it for the podcast this week. You can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discussed and to join the conversation on the forum. You can email us a audio file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com. And please limit it to about 3 minutes. We've been getting calls that are like 9 minutes long. That's a bit extreme. So I'm cutting those off.
I got one call that was 21 minutes long. And you know what? He was saying some really cool things. I just wrote him back, like, at this point, he should just start a podcast, because he had all these good points.
20 minutes.
Just stay.
Or get on the forum and start talking to people. Yeah. Like, you got to have a conversation with someone. You can call our voicemail line at 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, currently being brought to you by Stephen Schultz. You can subscribe to our Patreon account and support us for as little as $5 a month. Or you can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube for free, so you always get the latest episodes. You can buy our archive of 5 years of podcasts. Clearly, we're getting text messages as we record this. You can put those on your device and listen to it offline. The link is on our sidebar. We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye-bye.